and it's not quite named Earth?
It's Kerbal, and
Kerbal,
I think for game engine requirements, the entire solar system is scaled down to 1/10 size. But I have a feeling in KSP2, which was supposed to have been released now, but is going to be released next year now. That was the fairing that just popped off. What I'm doing here is I'm putting this thing into a polar orbit. This is a scanning, an Earth scanning altimeter and biome. My parrot is driving me crazy over here. This thing is a ground sensing radar, and that is a relay antenna, solar panels, batteries. This is the second stage. That's where the fairing popped off. So I am...
Well, there may be arguments about whether or not the Earth is round, but we know Kerbal's
round. Oh my goodness. My wife actually brought that up to her students yesterday. She said that to me this morning before she left, that Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars drew a flat Earth. And she said, you heard about that, right? And they're all, yeah. She said, that's the right answer. So here I am staging. I'm running out of fuel on the bottom, on the first stage. It floats away. This thing is...
And there's a reasonable facsimile of the Milky Way. Is the galaxy still Milky Way, or is it actually...
I think they used a new skybox. I think it is the Milky Way, as a matter of fact. So now
there's a lot more dust lane than I usually see in Milky Way shots, but that middle bulge looks familiar. Is when you're in space. How about the constellations? Are they?
No.
Do they try and map them? They don't.
No, there is a mod that.
There's the Pleiades. Wait, that's accurate.
That looks like the Pleiades. All right. Well,
that's the Pleiades. That's the Pleiades and the Hyades. That's completely accurate.
Is that Taurus?
And there's Orion. Yeah, that's Taurus.
You're kidding me? Oh my God! I never noticed that.
Yeah. That's completely accurate.
Wow, I never noticed that, guys.
See?
Yeah, and that's where the winter Milky Way goes. So yeah, they mapped real stars in there for you too.
Yeah.
See, and for $30.
Something new about your game. I'm sure this is all real too, but I can't think of what those. I can't. Whatever the word is. What's it called, Jeff, when you take when you take the stars and you figure out what they are? I forget the term for that.
Don, is that oh shit! You had me install a program to do that.
All right, so I told this thing to go up to 150 kilometers, and that's what it's done here. Now, what I've done is I've got to circularize my orbit. So I'm getting up to my high point here. My low point is still in the atmosphere. What I got to do is push and thrust in the direction I'm going. What that does is it pushes the orbit out and circularizes it. So I'll get another one up here. But now what this guy does, all right, so now I'm in a nice circular orbit. And now you turn on the stability assist and you deploy your really freaky radar.
I was going to ask you, Adrian, what do you want me and Bob to do in your presentation? Do we have a role to play, or are you going to be El Presidente?
The initial thought was El Presidente, but I'm expecting. I want to do a bit of a Q&A, and that's where you and Bob, and if Brian comes, would be pretty huge there as far as answering some questions that members may have, if they have any, about GLAC.
Okay.
If there's, if questions about couldn't we go ahead and make it physical would be answered by me. But things like how we got the dignitaries and how we set up the lines and how that all works, I was going to let you go to town on that, Jeff.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured.
The Zoom meeting. Yeah.
I saw pictures from the Great Lake Stargaze today, and there was like no masks. I'm like, guys.
Well, and that's when there's ever a gathering like that, there's always a temptation to not wear masks. I actually wore one while playing baseball yesterday. I was surprised that I didn't get winded at all until I started catching. As soon as I caught for an inning, then I got winded. But yeah, I was surprised at how not only was I able to play just fine with the mask, it was one of the breathable ones that Jim and Gina, I think. How's it pronounced, Charlie? It's not Ginia, right?
Jenna.
It's
kind of, yeah, if you kind of think you didn't say it right, it's right.
Yeah, so Jim and Jenna, the ones that Jenna made, the one, they kept my face warm, and two, I was able to breathe fine up until the time I needed to catch. And there are the Kerbal lights right there.
Holy shit. All right, that's really loud. Damn.
The kids are going to love this
for
display.
For a good effect, that'll work. It'll work for effect. Still, is that the equivalent of a Saturn V?
Yep. That's not mine. That's a stock one. I actually was rather surprised to see it there. So it's the first time it actually launched this one. So I have no idea what the stages are going to be doing, but we'll see. I mean, I could move them up the stages around and have it blow up on the pad. I did that with an N1.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not so sure we want to show that.
Man, this
kind of trash if you miscalculate your stages or mess up on your rocket building. But there's endless Kerbal lights that are still a part of your program. Time is it? 7:20. Yeah, we got another. Is that supposed to happen with the rocket?
Because I think this might be a malfunction.
You think?
I'd say it's time to eject the Kerbal light, Bob. Yeah, there they go.
Boom.
Oh, they shoot. Oh, they shoot. Oh, no. Yeah, when I was doing the after-school club, my wife and I did an after-school club, and we had this on like 14 PCs. And there's a couple kids, boys, that just love this. And this one kid built a rocket.
There's still explosions going on.
But yeah, he built a rocket castle, and when it launched, it just flew apart, and it just blew up everywhere. And at the end of that day, he came up to me. My wife was there, and he's like, Mr. Shepley, I killed 300 Kerbals today. And I'm like, that's nice.
That's nice, but that's not the idea, dude.
But I did a class with this, with Starbase 1, and one of the first things the director there said, can you build a rocket that'll blow up? Kids always like to see that. I'm like, yeah, it's hard not to. But that's pretty cool. You can actually run that whole mission. I actually built a different lander. This docking is so hard.
Yeah.
Am I hogging up
I
all
will,
the time?
during the presentation, I'll go to the website, all works out, and just do a brief overview of what's on that website, and then Bob, that's your domain, so we may. That looks like a person with the eyes. We might take it away from there. We'll see how the night goes, and how much interest we may have. And actually, Charlie, I'm not going to require everybody to be on mute because it's a fairly swift presentation. If anyone wants to ask a question, they can feel free. If it gets out of control where I got so many questions being asked, then I'll then we'll call an audible. I'm a fly by the seat of the pants type guy. When you have a professional doing a presentation that's been practiced, then you put someone on mute. They prefer to go through their presentation before they get questioned. Then that's how we do it.
Yeah, well, during the meeting portion too, we got a sample poll that we're going to use, and then we're going to kind of do a quick exercise with the yes/no voting.
Yeah, I got to pull that up.
Wish we had a poll or some sort of scavenger hunt or something we could do to replace the missing one this year.
Yeah, I don't know if there's time to do it, but I thought of what I thought of, Bob, was just with the live view objects, just have them gather one of each type of deep space object. Star, and just make it star cluster. It should be globular or open. Make it galaxy. Make it nebula of any type, and let them, for extra credit, they talk about what type they saw: emission or planetary or reflection or supernova remnant.
What about
and just gather some votes?
What about Survey Monkey?
We tried that. It got met with lukewarm results, which is why we ended up having folks email absentee ballots if they weren't, if they wanted to have their votes counted.
Well, I was talking over email with Charlie and Kathy, and I tried out the polling in Zoom, and while it just shows you bar graph results, and you can share the results with the crowd, there's the host can't actually vote because they're holding the vote. Now after the meeting is done, you can download, give it like 5 minutes to settle down, and you can download a complete like a spreadsheet of everyone's voting. It's got names and the questions and the answers that they gave. So it's a way, like in our case, if there's somebody that's not a member who accidentally votes, then we don't necessarily have to count them.
Not be eating that.
Yeah. So for that, what I have done is captured all the absentee votes that have come in, and I've noted them down on a sheet. If I find their name, membership, and then I go ahead and put them down for what they voted for. So I won't reveal what I've got so far. And I hope I'm not missing any votes, but I can tell you that the votes have been very, very consistent so far.
Okay, I can get. I'm sure Doug gave you the complete list of current members, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yep, I took that and I fashioned a spreadsheet that had all the different categories you could use or that you could vote, and basically made those extra columns, and then I have the names.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to go ahead and steal I'll go ahead and steal the screen. Let me see if I I'd have to make
I have a poll.
I'd have to make both. public if I did this, so I'm not going to skip. I'll take the screen when it's time for me to do my presentation. But
well, I can
it's a
show you.
spreadsheet that has everything.
I can show you what the
grab
sample.
The screen if we got a minute then.
What's that?
Yeah.
I want to grab the screen
Well,
if we got a minute.
Yeah, because I don't want to make the votes visible, and I have to, in order to do that, I have to remember who. Okay, here we go. I can show. What I'll do is take out 2 votes that I know are there, and I'll share my screen. Let's see, share my screen. This. So that's basically what I've got. And right now I don't, the total, you're not seeing any totals. And I've blotted out a couple of the votes that, that I got.
Would you like to see the poll that I did? Because we don't have to take the poll, and it'll overwrite as soon as we redo it. The
I want
online.
to do that offline. I think that's something that we'll consider for.
Well,
we may do that for votes for new officers, for instance.
Well, for the
I definitely want to see it, but I don't know if I want to, because we got about 3 or 4 minutes before we got to start the actual meeting. So.
Well, we got 13 people
here. I do
here,
want to see that, Jeff. We actually had a presenter do that.
Adrian, you're gonna see a sample one and the bylaws. I've got the poll already made up earlier this week. So
Okay.
that's how we're gonna vote online tonight.
Okay, so you've already set something up for it, so that works.
Yeah.
So when we get to that business, then go ahead and then what I'll do is I'll keep track of the names and start plugging them into that spreadsheet that you just saw.
Yeah.
And,
what I'll do, Adrian.
That'll get us a unanimous vote.
What I'll do at the end of the night after the meeting ends, I'll download that spreadsheet. It's just a CSV file, and I'll email that to you, because that'll have all the voting results in it from the vote that we do here.
Just transfer them.
Yeah,
that works for me.
They're not going to be neat and tidy, I imagine. I doubt if the names are going to match up exactly, but you'll see who's who, and it looks like everybody's using a reasonable name tonight. So in Zoom, because that's basically what you see in the participant list. That's the name you're going to see in the spreadsheet.
Yep. And I'll be able to get the votes from there. So if you're capturing them like that, that's fine. Send them to me. Then I'll have an official. I guess I'll email an official result sometime after the meeting.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, let me prepare the presentation. And Charlie, did you get my bio, Charlie?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Excellent.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, it was figured short and sweet for the bio too.
Well, we've been streaming for about 18 minutes, so whenever you guys want to start, just start. There's no start-stop that we have to do on this end.
So remember, I usually wait until 7:35 anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. All the late people, and even then there'll be a few later than that, but that'll get most of them.
Yeah, well, they'll join when they join.
So if you're going to wait a couple more minutes, let me throw my screen up real quick and everybody give me an opinion on just resolution of the screen, because this is what I'm planning to share, this type of view on Friday night. So
I see the equatorial bands.
Yeah.
So that's gonna work if you're doing something live right now.
Yeah. I'm live right now.
Yeah. That'll
and it's lousy because it's still it's a blue sky, sun's still up. So
okay.
As far as
if it's only gonna get better, because we're all starting around 9 o'clock. So
yeah.
If it's only going to get better, then that's fine.
I was going to say, Don, the writing on this, I assume you're just sharing the shark cap screen?
Yeah.
Because that one, the writing is legible. I mean, it's tiny, but it is more legible now. So.
Yeah, I'm really not planning on sharing Stellarium. I was just, because all I had was a blank screen before, just to see if you guys could see
Yeah.
anything. I'm gonna work
Yeah, I'll share.
you know, I'm poking around. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
share that.
I'll be sharing Stellarium as a part of my presentation, and it's just going to be a base. Well, here's what it can do. I loaded Stellarium on the tablet, and that's what works as far as controlling the telescope.
Oh,
Yeah.
see,
So I'll be.
Yeah, I'm controlling.
Go ahead, Don.
I'm controlling directly from Stellarium right now on my computer.
Yeah, I have a smaller computer, but the darn thing is just too weak. It's basically it's a tablet running Windows 8, I think.
Oh.
And I think at one point I was using Stellarium, but I'm not sure what hooks I have to put in from the computer to get it going, and the mount that I have runs on Bluetooth. So rather than messing around with that, I just put Stellarium on a tablet that I've used for it, and it works just fine. I launch it, I connect, and it goes. So I'll be doing that.
Yeah,
And Bob, go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be using Stellarium a little bit just so if we pick objects and if people, you know, have requests that I can get my field of view, you know.
Right. And also if we unluck out and it's cloudy. I don't know if we'll get another bank of smoke. I think most of the fires are contained, but there's still a couple that are burning out of control, as far as I know. But I was surprised that our skies got back to being good after 2 days.
Yeah,
Suddenly the skies went blue again. Yeah, I've got a couple before and after shots, sun during at 8:30 a.m. with smoke and 8:30 a.m. without smoke. Maybe after the meeting I'll share them because I know we're running on time.
All right.
Now we got a couple minutes.
Yep. In fact, it's about that time.
Okay.
In fact, I would say, go ahead, Jeff, start the recording.
It's actually been going for about 20 minutes because Bob was showing off his Kerbal thing. So.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks, everybody, for joining. This is yet another Zoom version of our monthly University Lowbrow Astronomy meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Probably everybody watching realizes that I'm Charlie Nielsen, the president of the club. We have some other officers here, and we'll get some reports from them later on. But as always, we have our guest speaker, in this case, actually one of our very own, first. So if anybody really was interested in that and not the business portion of the meeting afterwards, we'll give them the opportunity to have a shorter evening. So with that, for the second month in a row, we had our scheduled speaker unable to actually speak to us. But for the second month in a row, the Lowbrows have shown their resolve in coming up with one of our own people to fill in the gap. This time it is Vice President Adrian Bradley. And some of us know Adrian pretty well. We may not know everything about him, but it just turns out I have the rap sheet on him right in front of me. So with that, Adrian Bradley was born in Nashville, Tennessee in 1971. He doesn't remember any of it. But he does remember being interested in stars and the night sky when he was young. He attempted to make a career out of being an undergraduate student at the University of Michigan. But they had had enough of him in 1997, so they released him with a bachelor's degree in science and engineering with a focus on computer engineering. Somewhere around that time, he lived in Wisconsin and worked as a Linux administrator. Since this has nothing to do with astronomy, let's move on. Back to Michigan. A few years and a couple of marriages later, he rediscovered his love for all things astronomy and joined the Lowbrows. But he didn't stop there. He eventually snuck his way into the group of officers. Then he had this bright idea that he should try being president of an organization he had not been a part of ever. So he became the president of the Great Lakes Association of Astronomy Clubs. No one else seemed to want the job, so he took it. He didn't stop there. He joined the Warren Astronomical Society as part of a bid to join every single astronomy club in GLAC, the Great Lakes Association of Astronomy Clubs. But then along came photography, and suddenly he found something else to stay busy doing. So he joined a couple of photography clubs instead. He went from zero to publishing and selling his photography. His grandfather, who lived in a small town in Mississippi, was a photographer and feels he's simply carrying on his legacy. Other interests Adrian has are bowling, where he has cast at a national event among thousands of bowlers. Also baseball, where he used to travel to do tournaments, but now just enjoys the game. When not doing these hobbies, he enjoys spending clear moonless nights at a dark sky park, fighting mosquitoes in the summer and cold weather in the winter, and doing night photography. On occasion, his wife catches him at home and makes him do chores. So with that, Vice President and President of GLAC, Adrian Bradley. Take it away.
All right. Let's see. Okay, I'm not muted, so hopefully everyone can hear me okay. My presentation is going to be pretty short and sweet, and if you have any questions along the way, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask a few questions. I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation and then try and share my screen. Here we go. And this is it. All right. So my presentation is discussing how the astronomy at the beach became virtual. I realized that I have how GLAC became virtual, but really it's about astronomy at the beach. We're having it in a week. It's on September 25th and 26th. And Bob Trimbley from WAS, who has joined us, posted the website in the chat. So feel free to look at that now, but I'll go through just a brief history of how we at GLAC came up with the idea of going virtual amidst the current events or the events that were happening at the beginning of 2020. So when we were elected new members, John Wallbank, who I saw here, John is also here. I was voted president. John's your vice president. Jeff was an interim secretary. We later ripped interim out of his name. Dr. Brian Adams was reelected communications officer. Now, from WAS, we had Jeff Vasquez as our treasurer, and although webmaster wasn't an official position, Bob Trimbley has been an important position, so I mentioned Bob Trimbley here, and he's there right there. Jeff decided later to resign as treasurer, so John has assumed most of those duties, and I'm helping him with that. This is what the world was doing in January and February, and mourning the loss of Kobe Bryant. March and April, and the novel coronavirus pandemic started, and this is kind of what the world was doing, or at least, the whole world, let alone America. All we did was stay calm, as we should, and then we continued to hold in-person meetings. We were planning for a live astronomy at the beach like we had always done. But we weren't sure how things were going to shake down in the world, but at the time, there was no talk of the masks. There was very little known about the novel coronavirus, other than how quickly, if you had it, how quickly you went from being merely sick to, deathly ill. So we wanted to keep our eyes on that and make sure that, see how things shook down when it came to COVID-19. Of course, now we know better that it was more serious than that. And these, by the way, are professional bowlers who professional bowling was the last event shown on TV before all of sports had shut down due to COVID-19. So as America politicized COVID-19 and we had all these conspiracy theories, we looked at it and said, we're probably going to be in this for a long haul. So it's very important. As a board, we decided to hold a virtual event. We weren't exactly sure how it was going to happen, but we all voted on this as a board. I know that I came up with the idea and said, maybe we should go virtual, but then we passed that idea along, and the board members that are here recall those talks, and they recall the June meeting in particular when we had a vote on it, and it was voted in. Special thanks should go to those that are here, John, Jeff, and Bob. That was the meeting that I came in late and found out that, yes, we should go virtual. We as a board decided that we should do it. So at that time, it was time to decide, okay, what are we going to show? Brian tells us, try and keep it simple. Try to make sure that we're not biting off more than we can chew, because this is new for astronomy at the beach. You know, it's always been the big telescopes, and it's always been people walking up. But, you know, regardless of how you feel about Bill Gates, all this stuff, or 5G towers, of course, our club has a doctor that that kept us up to date on what was really going on the front line. So using that information and not so much all of this, you know, we decided to, let's go virtual. So here are the 2 big months. While states are opening up and DJ LeMahieu's whacking home runs for the Yankees and the election race is going on, we had a lot of very fast progress made. And it's very exemplary by with Jeff Koopmanis handling setting up links with Black. We eventually bought Zoom licenses so that we would be able to control how long we could do presentations. And then we had the idea that we would stream them all to YouTube. We had a lot of help from Michigan Science Center and the Flint Longway Planetarium when they came into our meetings and said, we do this all the time now. And then Bob Tremblay took the web page, re-engineered it, and started setting it up to make it a very attractive web page for people to log into and find these events. So there was a huge focus on that in these 2 months, and we now have, we're almost all the way there. We now have a web page that's ready for people to connect to. Starting September 25th. You can go there now, and we'll be going there in a couple minutes. But you can go to that webpage, and you can see all the events that we're doing and the headliners. It's a good thing Bob's got his connections, because we're going to go to the webpage now. We're going live on the 26th. Jeff's got this background on his screen, so if you want to see this again, just look at Jeff. And let's go to the webpage. Now, are you able to see my browser?
You'll have to change
Is everyone there?
Your share.
We don't.
Okay, so I'll stop. Let me reshare the browser. And I think this is the browser right here. All right, so now you can see my browser.
Yes.
And this is the front page for Astronomy at the Beach. I believe this is you, Bob.
Yep.
This is what Astronomy at the Beach had always been. However, we have for 2020, and we've got information on that. We've got a countdown, and people have been using this contact field to ask how to register. Well, there's no registration for this. This page is going to be up, and we just simply want you to come back September 25th and the 26th, starting at 3 p.m., I'll show you the schedules in a minute. These are our headliners, and those of you here may recognize these headliners. We've had 2 of them as long as I've been with the Lowbrow give us talks. So we have Brother Guy, There's actually a fourth headliner that I'll mention in a minute. I'm going to go when I go to the webpage. David Levy is a member of WAS, and we see him often, Bob and I, and so he's become a good friend of mine. I'm hoping, if all goes well, to be able to do some travel, and one of the things I have to do is go out to Arizona to observe. Now, we also have Dolores Hill, thanks to Bob, who's going to be talking about the OSIRIS-REx mission. So these are our three headliners, and to get all of the information, click on the Astronomy at the Beach 2020 landing page, and this is everything that you would need to know about it. And I encourage all the lowbrows to go to this page and just take a look for yourself at things that are going on. There's Dan Davis. He'll be joining Brother Guy. Those of us that were at a presentation at U of M, I think 2 or 3 years ago, may remember that, so they may remember all three of these gentlemen did presentations at the University of Michigan. So they'll be online working together. And I think what they're going to discuss is further down in the schedule. And then there's Dolores Hill. So here's the schedule. The mini schedule is a good way to see just how much stuff we packed into the virtual astronomy at the beach. You're seeing the live presentations right here that we're going to do. You can choose, and we have stacked events because we want you to be able to choose and pick which events you would like to go to. If you want to check out, for instance, earlier, we were building and launching rockets at Kerbal Space Program. So at 9 p.m., Bob Tremblay will be doing that. Now, Don Swetzik, I know you're here. You're going to be live at the same time. I'm going to be live with Star Hopping with Stellarium. So we did this on purpose because we wanted choices. We know that over 1,000 or so people attended the live event. And if a lot of those folks come back just simply by connecting to web pages, and if we get more people to come in, we want to give them options on what they can see. I expect that folks may bounce from presentation to presentation depending on what's going on. So they'll have lots of choices. You can see the on-demand presentations. We wanted to make sure, especially if there's internet problems at the time or other things are going on, or they're not interested in the 7 o'clock to 7:30 block, well, they can check these things out at any time. And these presentations are going to be recorded so that they become on-demand presentations after those events have finished. So then they'll have even more options come Saturday and beyond. Here are all the Saturday presentations. There's the Turning Left at Orion. Brother Guy and Dan Davis will be doing presentation, followed immediately at 7 with the OSIRIS-REx mission. Now, if kids don't want to sit through that, we've got the kid-friendly section where this planetarium, Tim Campbell, who's also, I believe, in both WAS and the Ford Astronomy Club, is doing a planetarium. You've got virtual planetarium going again at 7 with the Michigan Science Center. So these are things that we felt that kids may be more interested in. So kids and their parents could be tuning in here. I know I'll be tuning in and helping moderate Turn Left at Orion, but Amazing Astronomy and Fantastic Physics might be more interesting to some families. So we want to give options, and that's what Astronomy at the Beach had always been about. There were always lines for the big telescopes, but there were also other things that people could do. So we wanted to imitate that somewhat with the online version. There's more on-demand presentations that are available that you don't necessarily have to wait until Friday to see these. These have already been done. So you could come down and watch this right now if you wanted to, or watch my Star Hopping with Stellarium presentation. Here are the live view, and I think we're doing it, I think Don is going from 9 to midnight on Friday, along with Gordon Doug Bach, Brian Adam, and same thing here. Doug, Brian, Gordon Hanson are going to be live. So these are the options that are going to take the place of being able to have the live scopes. Jeff has been creating Zoom links for them to use. The presenters will give the option if they want folks to join them directly on the Zoom link, or if they want them to just use the YouTube stream. On the YouTube channels, people will have the option of sending in comments while the presentation is going. There will be a little delay, but we're okay with that delay because we'll be able to see those questions come in. We'll answer them as we're going. So that is it in a nutshell. That is basically how we converted the live event to an online event, and we think that there's enough good information here that everyone that joins it will enjoy these events. I do expect a few hiccups here and there, but again, we have enough events to where there's, we've got a lot of things going on that will, anyone can come in, young or old. We're safe because we're all virtual, and we're setting this up so that in the future we may have a virtual portion of this, and we'd be able to turn to this, say that it's cloudy that night. We'd be able to do a virtual version of this. If it's cloudy here, you've got Brian, who he's able to do his live viewing from out in New Mexico, so we would still be able to do some live viewing online should we get clouded out here. Or we'd be able to, if COVID-19 lasts a lot longer than we want it to, and we're in 2021 around this time, still not, really fully able to meet, we have a platform by which we can continue doing astronomy at the beach. So that is, and here, I invite you all to check out more information. I'll click on this link, and then I'll check out the chat and look at some of the questions you may have. This is an example of an event with links to it and a link to the YouTube stream that you can watch. These streams are set up for, and I think this is a example of a live stream here that's been set up. So you've got a picture, you've got a description of the event, a related video, and I think there's a go live. Yeah, the watch button is down here. I think we're still trying to address that, whether we want a video and inline video here. But you'll have the option, there's the dates, and you'll have the option to watch during this time period when the event goes in. So
it's Kurt had a question.
Go ahead.
Kurt had a question regarding the live viewers, and the live is basically going to start at those times and run contiguous. Most of the other events, they have a start and finish, and we had to do that because we have a limited number of licenses to use. The Zoom is only concurrent, one per license, so we couldn't have a billion things going because it costs a ton of money for the licensing.
All right, so let me go through the chat line. You've got, Bob posted this page that we're looking at and asked if he needed to put free, no registration required. Bob, that may be a good idea. We kicked around the idea of registering for the Zoom link, but we're not going to do that. We're going to let each presenter choose whether they want to invite folks to join their Zoom link or not, and then we'll go from there. So I would put that on the front of the page, free, no registration required, because that's a lot of what the questions have been when people go contact. I think he's doing it right now. He said, you can go off mute, Bob, if you'd like. Kurt thinks that's a good idea. And follow Bob. He posts every week about the astronomy and space science, about astronomy and space science every week on the blog of the Vatican Observatory Foundation. So how we got those headliners, Bob knows them all. And he sent out some emails and said, hey, you want to do it? And they said, of course. And they jumped aboard. So we're very happy for Bob's connections, because it turned the event into, I would consider, a very legitimate event. I would have been happy with just telescopes set up and that's it. And it ended up blossoming into this full-blown event that we've got here. Jeff noted 4,500 folks attended the event, or 4,500 if you want to say it that way. There's no way to know what attrition we're going to get for folks that would rather be at a live event. Those that would rather be at a live event are probably at the Great Lakes Stargaze right now. But here's the thing. The Great Lakes Stargaze is for serious. I would consider that a serious astronomer, serious astrophotographer. I don't consider that the type of event that you should be going and hobnobbing around and, what's in your telescope and what do you know about aliens? I mean, that's something I would expect for a general public event. And that's something that Astronomy at the Beach always fulfilled. So knowing the various views, which is why I kind of put, well, here's what America thinks and here's what, here's what we're doing. There's no telling who's coming to the event if we made it live. So that's why back in May and June we said let's go online. Let's be safe.
Yeah.
We'll make it the best event that we can make it given the time frame that we're in. And I think we've done a good job of that.
And as far as attendance goes, I was just going to add, and I put it in the chat, but after all the events are closed, because we're doing it through YouTube, they've got detailed analytics for attendance, watch time, average watch times, the number of playbacks, all that kind of stuff. And because I'm going to have about 8 hours of downtime on Sunday after this whole mess is over, I'm going to spend that time going through each event and collating all the results. And we should be able to get some reasonable attendance figures for, who was there and how much time they actually watched. So it should be interesting.
Okay, let me go back to the chat screen, if I can. Okay, there it goes. All right.
Okay,
so
I just updated that front page, so take a look. Tell me if you like that. Want something different?
Here, I'll share my screen again. Let's go ahead and quick do that before I get to the next questions.
I'm thinking, Adrian, we can just unmute everybody since there's only 18.
Yeah.
Just ask the question verbally.
Yes, go ahead and unmute
Yeah,
them.
if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I definitely want to address Kurt and Kathy. I want to address your questions. And I think there's a new message here. Okay, that was yours, Jeff. Yeah, I want to address your questions. I'll go ahead and go to the.
Oh, I got to put it on that one too. Shoot.
Okay.
Go to the home page first.
All right, let's go to the home page. Yeah, this is how quickly we've been doing updates, folks. We've just been free, no registration required. So does that look good, Kurt?
Yes, excellent.
I think I've got to
There you
put a
go.
little space between there. That's bothering me, but
Yeah, which is why we do such a good job with the website, because Bob is like me. He's kind of OCD.
No, we all are, Adrian. I'm sorry.
That's true. We want this to look good. And not John. John, I'm going to get to you in a moment. I'll let the Lowbrows know of our efforts to make GLAC an individual entity. I'll touch on that briefly. Let me get with Kurt. You mentioned a good point. It might be worth adding weather permitting to the live telescope viewing column. That's not a bad idea at all. And I would say, putting weather permitting is a good idea, just because, knowing the general public, even if it's cloudy out, we would probably be explaining that a few times. They're like, why don't we see anything in the telescope? So I like the idea, and I'm going to make an executive decision in front of you all to have Bob drop that in there. Just a simple letter, weather permitting, on the live view events.
I think it.
I just want to point out, you should have seen the crowds we had at each mountain on a foggy, rainy night when Hale Bopp was up. We had people lined up all the way up the mountain, even though it was raining.
And that, I unfortunately, I understand, you know, here, let me share my screen again. Let's see.
I was gonna
presentation.
I was gonna interject real quick that everything that we're doing, because we know it's a virtual event and their expectations are so much different for online versus live, that we've done a lot of attention to trying to manage expectations. So it's like make it very upfront so that people, when they come, it's better to be delighted by extras and extra stuff than be disappointed because of some technical or other reason. So we paid a lot of attention to that along the way.
This is where what I expect from the general public. This slide right here. So this is who we're making sure that we're being reasonable with regards to what we have on our page, and some still may not get it, but that's okay. And this is the reason that we have fielded a couple, not only the Lowbrows in black, we fielded a couple of questions about online. And in the middle of, in the middle of our meetings, the state park rep stopped coming because, there wasn't much for her to do anymore because we weren't going to hold a live event. So all of the planning that we usually do with the state parks, none of that had to be done this time. Again, we don't know how long this is going to go, but we do know that we have to beware of a general public that may have some expectations that, we're not going to be fulfilling. So, so we're good with that. Let's see. Kathy, you mentioned Friday kid friendly, 6 p.m. should be in front of 7 p.m.
I don't know if you have the times wrong or whether the topics are in the right place, but you have like 7 o'clock first and then you have 6 o'clock.
Oh, that's a 2-second fix.
It just helps to have them in the right order.
Or they discover time travel.
Okay, I see what you've got. Yeah, we have 7. Yeah, we can flip that.
But I didn't know whether the topic was also flipped.
No, the topics match the times. They're just, we're just, 7 is not before 6. So, yeah, I think we can flip that, and I think, like Bob said, it'll be a 2-second flip. I see what you're saying.
Another 10 seconds. Loading.
All right.
Loading.
All right, so I'm jumping straight to Doug Warshaw's question. Should we refuse to take calls via 5G? The answer is it's up to you. We are not going to be responsible for any damage or no damage at all that happens when you take 5G calls. I find that I can stream church events on 5G just fine, so I haven't worried about it ever since. And I have not caught COVID-19 from doing so. So that's all I can offer you.
That's where that came from.
Let's see. Yeah. And I think will the live viewers have alternate content? Let me address that right quick, Kurt. The Stellarium viewing that I'm doing and some of the other events where we're showing something on a screen, those are definitely going to be part of the alternate events that people would be able to view. If it's cloudy and there's nothing to see out in the night sky, then I fully intend to go star hopping with just Stellarium on my computer. So it would just be, what do you want to see? We find it, we zoom in. I've got some of my own oculars set up, and binoculars, a binocular view as well. So I will be able to just show, well, this is what it's gonna look like if you, if you were to look at it through your, through a telescope. Now, some of the objects, such as the Great Orion Nebula, that are actually astrophotography images, I would point that out as well and say it doesn't look like this through the telescope, but it gives you an idea of what it is.
Well, I have
I
been
was thinking more in general for the people who are going to be doing live view through their scopes. If it ends up raining, there should be, a contingency that if people try to go to that, it'll pop up a note that says, "Sorry, it's raining. Please go back." Just so people aren't staring at it in an observatory, or somebody has to sit out there in the rain all night.
Yeah, and that since we have the West Coast, which that's actually an interesting point because there's more smoke out there. We've got a week for that smoke to dissipate enough for Brian to be able to show us something. Even if it's astrophotography, he was able to zip around, and with a 30-second exposure, you had a pretty good view of something. If there's smoke in the sky, either he's going to need a longer exposure or he may not be able to show anything. So I imagine we'll be doing that. We will be, if we do run into clouds, and that's something that I think we have a meeting Monday to do to discuss some last minute things, and that would be one of the things we might consider. How are you going to handle it if it storms or if there's too much smoke in your location?
Well, to answer that, I've been keeping an eye on the weather reports, and next Friday, next weekend, it looks like it's clear sailing the entire weekend. So it looks like we might luck out in that respect. And as far as the events, if they're live events, frankly, is like each event is pretty much controlled by the person that is giving it. And if they want to do stellarium, great. Up to this point, we've said that, cancellation is probably going to happen if it rains, but I think the weather will be good and we may not even have to face that issue by the looks of it.
Yeah. And which is why we have those we do have the alternate events that can be gone to at any time, and they'll be available after Astronomy on the Beach is over. You could go back to that page and view another event. If you could spend the entire time that there's live events going and just view those events if you really wanted to. We'd hope you wouldn't. We'd hope that you'd want to see some of the live events. And we also hope that those live events actually, we are going to try and do some testing. And we've got a week left so that those live events do work okay. So we're going to be making sure that those happen.
Weather added to the mini grids.
So what about if you have I don't know, what about taping? I'm gonna use the term taping, but if I'm gonna be out playing tonight, I could, if I recorded something on OBS and say what I do tonight, let's say we do have bad weather, can you play something like that back after the fact or not?
Absolutely. That the way I see that is, let's say you do your session tonight. You record it for the same amount of time that you would be presenting live. There's too much smoke or the clouds just come in out of nowhere and blow your session up. Well, either you stream your session, you let everyone know, here's a session that I did a week ago, and you play that during your time period, or you allow it to be an on-demand event, up to you how you want to do that. That's an option you could take.
I think at that point, if you got it recorded and it's local, then you put up a movie viewer and you share that screen to your channel, and that'll go off to YouTube just like the regular event would.
Yeah, I'd just be sharing a screen. Yeah,
exactly. And that's kind of the beauty of Zoom, is that it's very flexible and it allows the presenter to deal with whatever circumstances might arise.
And if you're using OBS, you have even more flexibility than that. So,
if you know how to use it. The only thing I know about OBS, it's 3 letters.
Yeah, I've tried it for doing streams lately, and it's not bad. There is a bit of a learning curve. My problem is I put OBS on a machine that's too darn slow, and I wanted to use that as my live streaming machine. And then I tried it where there was no internet. So I tried it in the worst possible situations, and it was great learning, but I was just using it at the wrong time. But yeah, OBS is a great, fantastic tool, and it's free. Multiple cameras and multiple sources, slideshows and things like that. It's great. So I definitely recommend playing around with that if you are so inclined. So any other questions about Black or Kobe Bryant or the Republican or Democratic National Convention or 5G, anything that I presented? Oh, before I forget, let's give John Wallbank a big shout out. You're vice president of Black. We're attempting to make Black its own entity. For a long time, we depended on Bob Tremblay and WAS as our financial side, and WAS has been very generous in saying, well, use our 501c3 status if we have to. But we did want to push forward and make Black its own entity. So we've had papers filed. John has done a lot of legwork in getting Black to being its own organization. What that means is that in the past, we've gotten lucky with the events for the live astronomy at the beach. Anyone getting hurt or anyone, having a problem out there could technically try and sue Astronomy at the Beach for damages, and then it would trickle down into the clubs. With what we're doing, we're trying to cut that off, be able to have, legally have our insurance and be able to deal with liability properly as an organization should something happen. Now, we of course would like to hope that come 2021, if we're out there, or 2022, and we're back to a live presentation, that we don't have to deal with liability like we've never had to deal with it before. But we'll be protected in the event that we do, and we'll be able to do things as Black, and we won't have to go through hoops and hurdles using the WAS 501c3. So all of that's in process, and John Wallbank deserves a hand for the work he's doing in absence of the treasurer. We did have a treasurer that decided to leave the group, and John has stepped in as VP and taking over those duties. So,
Adrian, that Black is unique in that it's a club with a big mission, but with a very small membership. It actually, Black consists of the directorship alone, and the people that are invited enthusiastically into our participation, and we are now incorporated as a nonprofit entity. We have an entity identification number. I'm working through the legalities of all the tax ID numbers and so forth. I'm trying to avoid, any unforeseen contingencies. We have been fortunate in the past that being on in the state park assumes liability for anything that occurs.
Okay.
And the state park the state park system they've been wonderful. And I'm really hoping that we can return to a live event, because they are so good at working with us and making these events work. And they're so enthusiastic about engaging in improvements to make the event work better. So that's something to look forward to. But this organization, what we want to do is we want to keep this organization on an ongoing footing so that we have stability in the directorship, because the organization is formed as a directorship. We have stability in the directorship, and we have continuity, and we develop some institutional knowledge in the organization so that we don't lurch from one year to the next. And we have an outstanding group here. I admire the work that has been done by Adrian, by Jeff, by Bob, Brian, all, and the many others who are enthusiastic to contribute. This has been a Herculean task, and we started out really drinking from a fire hose on this, and it is smoothed out to the point where we have a really outstanding event coming up. And as Adrian says, we'll have some glitches, but altogether, I think that the people in this organization have done extraordinary work to offer astronomy enthusiasts all over the United States and all over the world access to a really good show. So thanks, guys. You've been terrific. I really, it's been inspiring to work with you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you. Kurt,
You too.
looks like you have maybe one more, or you went thumbs up with that. Okay, well, we appreciate that. And we appreciate that, John. You've been a part of it. And we've got a week, and I don't think we'll fall flat on our face. I think we've assembled enough good content here that it's going to be a successful event. Is it going to be as big as the live event? Well, time will tell, and we'll roll with it as we as we see things developing. We'll see how the event, how it unfolds, and we'll take good things along with lessons learned so that we can roll them into next year during those first board meetings.
A couple of things.
Yeah.
One, I've been following the astrospheric smoke map this week. It's been fairly accurate. So by Wednesday, Thursday at the latest, we'll know if there's going to be smoke Friday night.
Okay.
And the other thing
like
about
keep a track of.
About 501c3, accepting charitable contributions is one thing, but operating as a charity with fundraisers and raffles and that sort of stuff, that's controlled by the state. And you have to be designated as a charity by the state to be able to do that. And it's, I've never dealt with it myself, but I've watched from afar with my wife and her quilt guild, and it can be a real mess if it's not handled well.
You have to have a tax ID number too.
Yeah. Fortunately, I have a lot of help on that. My mother-in-law has been the treasurer of the Howell Friends of the Library for 20 years, and she is a hell of a bookkeeper, and she's always looking for ways that she can help me because I help her. So we're working on that together, and that's been she's worked with the 501c3. And also, I'm really active with the Livingston County Democratic Party, and we do their fundraisers. And
that's what parties do, is raise money.
That's right. It's all about the money. So I've had a lot of help on those things, and we're going to continue to explore and exploit all of the possibilities there. Again, sometimes it takes time to get a call back from the IRS and the Treasury Department, but people have worked with us very, very comfortably.
Yeah, the big thing about these tax exemptions and being a charity is keeping a top-notch set of books.
You're right. Absolutely right, Jim.
Yeah, we did go to the bank, and it looks like we've got all but one piece of documentation in order to start the account. So we're in process of getting that taken care of, and then Bob will, once that's done, we'll have some communications, and Bob, we're going to work with WAS to talk about next steps once we complete that. But we'll go one step at a time. I mean, that was identified as something that we wanted to work on in the background while we focused on making Jeff and Bob do as much work as we possibly could to make sure Astronomy at the Beach even happened.
I've been playing plenty of video games in between all this work.
God, he's amazing. He's just amazing.
Yeah, he throws it together pretty quick, and you saw it happen. The suggestions that came in from you all got implemented right away, because if he doesn't do it now, we'd be bugging him about it right before the event. Bob, weren't you going to do that? Okay, I'll go do it now. So that's how loose the board's been. It actually came together very well. So we'll see what happens next year. Now there'll be more elections, and all 7 of us could quit, or all 7 of us will roll over and do it again. But we'll see what happens. We have had, I should mention Shannon Murphy. Shannon, probably more so than her husband, has been helping us out a lot with items during these board meetings we've had. And they've remained available to any club member that wants to come in and join. We've had WAS members, Ford, GM, Oakland, and I don't know if we've had Seven Ponds join us at one point, but we tried to have we wanted all of us to join. And we added the McMath-Hubert
Observatory.
What's the name of that observatory? We
Ford.
added them. They're officially a member of GLAC now. They weren't a part of GLAC for some weird reason, and we added them this year. That was, I think the vote was basically, I said we're doing it and we don't need a vote. That's how we took care of it. So they're a member of GLAC now, and that so we've had a couple people send in some notices from other astronomy clubs, and so we've made some contact. There will be some folks from different states jumping in to see what we're doing, so it should be interesting.
Just wondering about that, because there are Great Lakes in a lot of states and 2 countries.
Yeah, but they don't. They don't.
Our Great Lakes are called the Great Lakes, so I think they know that even in England.
Yeah, we're not
Maybe.
even.
I'm guessing at that point.
We're not even going to go to the greatest lakes. We're the Great Lakes, period. Come on, guys.
That's it.
And then there's poor Lake St. Clair, which they say is a good lake, but it's not a great lake.
Yeah, but it's got all the muskrats.
Well, yeah. Well, there's too much light pollution around Lake St. Clair, at least where I tried the image from. So it's only a good lake, but it's not a great.
Lake St. Clair is the best muskie fishing in the world, and they also have the Jobby Nooner. So give it to Lake St. Clair.
I have a bad feeling they had that this year. I seems like they had that this year, and they really shouldn't have, but they did. Which is, if I put up that other screen with Bill Gates, if you take nothing else away from the presentation, the slide with Bill Gates and all the conspiracy theories, that's what we've been fighting. We haven't fought it as much as I thought we would. A lot of folks relent and go, yeah, we know, we understand, but they try. So with that, Charlie, I'm turning it back over to you.
Thank you. I don't see any further questions.
More questions.
Okay.
I am done with my presentation.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Well done.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll move on to further business. I have 2 items. The first one is, as you know, the officers have been working for some time now on some bylaws amendments. This was primarily motivated actually by COVID, and the fact that the first online meeting we had to have was the April meeting, which is a meeting we'd normally have elections. And there was no provision in the bylaws to hold elections other than a live meeting. So we decided it was time to not only address that, but sort of, I guess maybe in some ways future-proof the best that we could see anyway, the bylaws in some other ways too. And as you have seen, we have published those proposed changes in the newsletter. They have also been sent out via email. So Jeff is going to help us go through a voting process here that's going to be broken into the 4 sections of the bylaw, so people, if they wish, could vote on them separately. But first, he's going to present us with a little test poll. We felt this would be important just to make sure that that works before we actually do one that really counts. So with that, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, there's actually two different ways that we can vote. And the first way is just kind of a raise of hands. And if you bring up your participant list, there's little yes and no things, and you can click on those and you'll see a yes or no to any given question. And the question kind of is given verbally. That's the simplest way to do things. But unfortunately, with all the other options and all that, it doesn't lend itself well, and it's very public. So what we got is something called polling. And I'm going to launch basically a quick little training poll here, and everybody will see it. And I guess in our YouTube feed, you're going to see the entire poll. So if everybody wants to answer what their favorite planet is, and then down below how many years you've been in the Lowbrows. And we'll give that a couple of minutes, or a minute or something. Oh, look at that.
Jeff, how do you, I'm clicking on Jupiter, but it doesn't do anything.
All you have to do is click on those things, and then down below, your choice can change.
Click on the circle, not the text.
Yeah. I wonder if Charlie, because you're a co-host.
Oh, maybe.
Is that a problem?
I wonder, because it is not responding to anything I'm doing on the screen.
Why don't I withdraw co-host and see if that helps?
Oh, there we go.
It's working.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, now I can do it.
I don't think I have any problem.
Yeah, now it works for me too.
Yeah. Basically, the co-host can't vote.
Yeah.
So I withdrew the co-host, and that seems to have taken care of the problem.
So Jeff, I could click the radio buttons, but it won't take my submit. It
won't take the submit? That's weird.
Yep.
Do you make selections for both planet and length of membership?
Yep, one planet and one length of membership.
And the submit button didn't turn to red?
No, it's grayed out.
Well,
it's special. Kathy been touching your computer?
I've got 12 of 13 of you that did the poll, so. Well, in any case, if you've already, actually, I wonder if it, I didn't really try to see if you needed to submit or not. It's possible or not. Did everybody vote?
Yeah, when you co-hosted me, I was able to do it.
Okay. Well, for now, let's end the poll, and I can share the results, so you can see. Everybody should see that little window now. So you can see everybody's favorite seems to be.
No one cares about Pluto.
Apparently not.
Oh, that's sad.
Never gets any respect.
That's.
We're a bunch of geezers.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, the number of years is pretty cool too. So. But anyway,
I'm guessing I'm right at 6 years, because otherwise I would have been a vote for 2 to 5. I think I just made 6 this year.
Well, we can also rerun the poll if you'd like.
No, that's correct, because I remember the first time that Adrian was at a Peach Mountain open house, and yes, it was in 2014.
You want to try it again to see if everybody can get their votes in? We can do a quick. Okay.
I think we could. I like the way that works. That the gist of that is it works really well.
Yeah,
it's pretty quick.
I'm not sure about Don's, but I know for a fact that I cannot vote as the host of the meeting. So I guess when we vote, we have to make sure that there aren't any co-hosts.
Well, can someone vote twice for you?
Oddly enough, they don't allow for that.
Probably won't be a problem unless we have a tie vote.
You can mail in vote. Get the Chicago version.
Yeah. Well, the elections just can't be made corrupt because you want them to be. That's it.
You
All right,
guys,
Jeff, I
man,
think we're ready for the real thing.
you sure about that now?
Not totally.
Yeah, we're sure.
Yeah, let's go.
Note tape down.
Okay. So, do you want to introduce this thing first, Charlie, or
Well,
just
I
put the
think,
poll out there?
You know, I think before voting article by article, we should find out if anybody wants to do that, and whether we should vote on the whole package.
The way that I have the poll set up, it does each article as a separate question.
Okay, so that's already done.
Yeah.
Now, it's only the votes are being cast are from 14 people that are still online, right?
Correct. But then Adrian also has the absentees that he will add in.
Yeah, I've got the absentees. I've got 10 votes.
And additionally, all of these polls at the end of the meeting, we can download the results and we can pass that up to Adrian so he can combine them with his official sheet. So while it,
and Bob probably can't vote, but he's as a part of the meeting though. That you're observing how we're doing it, and if this looks good, feel free to transfer it to. Of course, WAS uses WebEx, so I don't know how you do it there. So, well.
Sure, John.
Yeah.
Adrian, I submitted my vote to you through the email, so I should not vote on this occasion.
That is correct. I have your vote, John, and I'm making sure I look at it because I know I put it in. Yep. John, I have your vote. I got Doug's. I have.
You have mine.
Brian Adams. I think he's on a trip.
Yeah, he's up. North.
Jeff, I've got your vote. Bob Krasinski's vote. I've got David Cook's vote.
When you said
Amy
Doug, did you mean Doug Scoble?
Yeah, Doug Scoble.
Okay.
He's enjoying the clear skies and the bears up north. I've actually got my own vote. I filled out an absentee ballot for some reason. And Tom Blazak has voted, and Harry Anderson III has voted. Those are all the votes I have. So if I didn't call your name, I don't have your vote. If you sent me an absentee vote and yet you're here, well, just make your vote here count. If you sent me an absentee ballot and you're not here, then not much I can do for you.
Are we ready?
That's kind of the point, but
yeah.
Here we go.
All right, this is it.
Oh, okay.
Now, my vote technically doesn't count.
Well, then why are you voting?
Well,
to participate in the process.
Well, Adrian he'll get the sheet at the end of the thing, and if there's any duplicates, then he can decide which one to keep or
it tabulates them all.
Yeah.
Penalties to be announced at a later date.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, gives us a spreadsheet format that we can sort, and he can look them up in his and reconcile things. So.
Yeah, there will be minor punitive damages to be paid. I don't think it'll be very high because I'd have to be one of them. So it won't be too bad. At least for 2020, it won't. 2021, it could be worse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, has anyone submitted any questions about what we've done? Because
no one.
Because all the discussion, as far as I know, has been among the officers and Kathy and maybe a couple other people.
No, it was presented at last month's meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is online in YouTube.
Okay.
We've got 8 of 13 right now.
All right. Yeah, everyone voted.
Okay.
Everybody vote needs to?
Yeah, I just pressed the button.
Okay. There's 9. 9 out of 13. Have we got everybody?
I closed mine.
Okay.
Remember, Bob's won't count.
That's right. So it's probably 9 out of 12.
Okay.
9 out of 12. Don hasn't voted.
Yeah, I
Don's
did.
probably looking at his. Oh, you did vote? Okay.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, it took
hiding
some-
behind the Horsehead Nebula. I didn't see you behind the Horsehead Nebula right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's not enough light so you can see my face anymore.
Okay.
You're
I
lucky.
have a question for Adrian.
Yeah.
I voted. Now, when I hit my submit button,
Yeah.
it doesn't change. Is it supposed to change?
Mine, the screen disappeared. So if you submit and it's just hanging there, that might be a bit of an issue.
Well, we've got 9
should
votes
just-
tallied, and Adrian did. I didn't vote because I can't. Bob didn't vote. Who else had
I
voted?
did vote, so technically there should be 10 of
1,
12
2, 3,
cast,
4,
I
5,
think.
6,
'Cause I
8.
went ahead and voted.
That's weird that it's only got 9.
Or-
Dak, did you make sure you got all 4 radio buttons selected?
Yeah, I voted. It submitted. It took it.
Okay.
Yep.
Uh,
And we got Don.
Okay.
so
Do we vote on all these separately?
Yeah.
each one
Okay,
is a
so there
different
isn't
question.
one that encompasses the whole.
No.
Correct.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, if you vote them all up, that basically simulates. I wanted
What we
everything. If you voted
Okay.
everything down, it would be
Okay.
like
There's no
voting for
straight
nothing.
party.
Yeah, there's no straight party
Yeah.
voting.
No straight party.
Jesus. We'll have to change that. Okay, now it should submit.
There we go. We got 10.
Okay.
Is that our proper number, Adrian?
10 is the proper number.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
right.
You and Bob, yep, because you and Bob wouldn't be voted.
That's 30. Just 2 of us? Because that leaves a third.
Wait, you said you got 10 out of 12, right?
This is 10 out of 13.
10 out of 13. So let's see. Kathy. Well, everyone would have voted. Rob, I think you voted. No one's got anything on the screen that's still hanging out there, right?
No, I voted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just look at the names, or if you send me the information, I can look at the names and see whose vote is missing, and then let them know.
Okay. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, we don't have. Yeah, we won't hold it up.
I tell you what, I'm going to take a picture of the participant list. That way you have a list of who is present, so we can check against. And here's the end of the poll and the results, which is kind of a no-brainer, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's easy to tally the results
Well,
in this
that's
case.
consistent with what I have in the spreadsheet.
that
in
was
fact,
easy.
yep, I can share that every vote the 10 votes that I have match this.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Well,
so
I
we
won't
have
be able to.
bylaws.
I won't be able to download the results
I'd
until
say
after
we
the
have-
meeting ends. But
yeah, I
Okay.
would say we voted in the brand new bylaws.
We did.
as
that
of
looks
today.
like it.
So now we
Yep,
officially,
congratulations.
yes, thank you, everybody. And we now officially have an unfilled officer position called online coordinator. So I would very much like to make a nomination that way. We don't really have a process, I think, there to nominate somebody for this in this one case. So I don't see why we can't nominate and go ahead and take a vote on that right now. And so for that reason, I would like to obviously nominate Jeff Kopmanis, who has really been fulfilling that position for the last several months anyway. And he has not escaped us yet or anything. So with that,
No,
I
no.
officially nominate Jeff Koopmanis as our new online coordinator. And I would
Support.
just
I was going to nominate Bob Tremblay, but I thought that would rock the boat.
I support,
So,
I support the nomination.
Okay, we have support. And I think in this case, since there's no opposition, we could actually do this with just a show of hands. So you will notice, actually just go on your screen.
yeah, the screen's
Hello
quicker.
tech.
Okay,
I'm holding my
and is
hand up.
anybody,
Yeah,
is anybody
Don's
opposed?
hiding behind the Horsehead Nebula, so we can't see his hand.
I saw Don's.
I'm
Did you?
I'm flashing my hand with the blue button.
Yep.
Okay.
Is anybody opposed?
Hell no.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you, members.
You are.
Yeah, now you did it to yourself, huh?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of did.
Now
That's-
you got 2 jobs like me.
That's kind of the way
3
the
or 4.
that's kind of the way the Glock secretary went too. I was the only guy scribbling stuff on a piece of paper at the time.
Yeah.
Well,
That's Adrian's
We
fault.
flipped and said, "Yep." I just told him, "Hey, good job. You're no longer an interim secretary."
Well, folks,
And then I pulled my imaginary gavel down.
remember, folks, among all of our officers, it's they do so much for our club, and we appreciate their work so much that it's our duty also to support their efforts and to assist them in any way they can. And I'll right now I'll put in my pitch for newsletter articles, and any other assistance that we can give our officers.
Yeah, that was Don's message to all of us, was send
Yes.
articles.
Well, with that, we can move into officer reports, and it looks like Jim just filed Don's report. So
Yep.
with that, do you have anything, Jim?
I'm trying to think if I have anything that pertains to the club, and I don't think so.
Okay,
No, nothing to report.
then moving on, what about, didn't I see Dave Jorgensen earlier? Where is he? Oh, Dave,
You saw he dropped out.
yeah, I guess he did.
Yeah, he dropped out. Yeah, I was
Okay.
hoping he would notice Bob Tremblay over here because we're trying to get you to be one of our speakers. So that'll be my report. Is I'm asking Bob Tremblay live if he'd like to be a speaker for us.
Helps to have the mic on. I already wanted to do that. Just I haven't been paying much attention to that because I got other things going on right now until the 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what the feeling
No
is.
kidding. Yeah,
But yes, I
all
would very
do.
much be interested in that.
Excellent.
Cool.
All right, I think we'll be in touch with you after the
Yeah.
26th.
Yeah,
we'll tell Dave.
I think we're booked up, barring holes in the schedule like we've run into the last couple of months. If that was not to happen, I think we got coverage up until maybe through the first quarter of 2022. We'll send it to you and be in contact anyway, so you can see what works for you. And thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else,
Well, that's
Adrian?
all I got to report.
Okay.
Yep, nope, I'm good.
All right. How about Jack Brisbane, our observatory director?
Oh, just a few updates. I know we've discussed this before about getting the road repaired. I did have some correspondence with Professor Putler about the road and that. What has happened is the College of Engineering is going to take care of the road from North Territorial to the Middle Gate. Some of you are familiar with that. And then from the Middle Gate going to Stinchfield Woods Road, which would be the north entrance for the property, and that's where the caretakers' facilities are at and stuff like that. That'll be taken care of by SCAS. That's run through Susla Fernandez. So we're waiting, and we'll see what the College of Engineering is going to propose on the road. They have had some people talk to them about it. When I was out there last week, they did have a group of people out there that were looking at fence repairs and other repairs due to vandalism out there. and they do have a security camera set up with a night light, some other things out there. It's just basically set up right now using the local AT&T carrier, but they're still looking on expanding that, so nothing is officially cast in stone, so to speak. That's basically it. We did finish painting the observatory. I just went out and done some minor touch-up work and things like that will be out there, but other than that, building looks really good. I did a lot of good work to it. Those people that involved on this last one were Tom Ryan and Doug Nell helped doing the painting, so that worked out pretty good. Other than that, that's all I have to say for right now.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Does anybody have anything else?
I just say that
Go ahead, Joe.
I say the pictures that were in the newsletter were kind of indicative of how it was going to be completed, and it looks like $1 million. You guys did a fabulous job, so
thank you.
Thanks. Jim?
Yeah, I was going to say that now that Jeff is our online coordinator, he gets to organize the communications committee. I'll serve on it, Jeff.
Okay, I'll write it down. Thank you.
Down too.
Jim Forrester.
Communications committee.
Well,
I'm the outreach officer for the WAS, and wow, I could use that.
$30 a year will get you in at the Lowbrows.
You can serve on our communications committee.
I don't know if you caught it, Jeff, but put me down for it too.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
I will buy a membership for Bob Trombley. In fact, I'll buy him a lifetime membership. Just to avoid having to do the kinds of things that only he can do.
Yeah, I think Bob might be the one person here that hasn't been on the discussion of the communication committee. And the main job is that we have some extra hosts that are familiar with the software, so that we don't have to worry about who's going to host the monthly meeting, and that nobody has to be here for every one of them.
Well, that means you probably already wrote me down, Jeff.
Well, I didn't, but now that you mention, I'll add you.
It's too late now.
Yeah.
Is Brian involved in the communication stuff? Brian Autumn?
Well, I think he
is.
He should be on it, but you have to ask him. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't hear him objecting.
I thought it was pretty silent too.
Too far north to object.
Yeah. Well, Brian does a lot.
He does.
Yeah.
There have been other members that we've had to prod that way, though. But
well, my thoughts about Brian only come in because his contact list for the astronomy at the beach was fantastic, and it just spread the word out like crazy. So he would be a great person to have on some committee like that. So.
Yeah, the other tasks that we mentioned during the discussions were, things like getting the brochure printed and which we haven't needed this year, but and again, something we didn't need this year is organizing, people to welcome folks as they come to the open houses.
Yeah, that has been a problem in the past. We ended up rotating it amongst 3 or 4 people all of 2019. So that would be a really good first step once we're safe and cleared to resume activities.
Yeah. As soon as we can resume open houses, I'm very enthusiastic about being a greeter and being a coordinator. I miss the open houses like all get out. I really do.
You're not the only one. The way we've handled the greeters in the past is that the coordinator for that particular evening would simply Shanghai people as he saw the headlights come up the hill. But
well, and often the
it'd be nice to have
coordinator was the greeter.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
I tended to Shanghai people.
Jeff, you were mentioning
you weren't
Brian.
going to miss observing on a good night. Go ahead.
You were mentioning Brian Adams' contact list.
Yeah.
One of the things I taught a Kerbal Space Program class at Starbase 1. They're a STEM facility out of Sulphurage Air National Guard Base.
Uh-huh.
The director of that has known me for years, and he came to the WAS and spoke about Starbase 1 a couple of years ago. A couple months ago, he quit Starbase 1. He's now working at the Macomb Intermediate School District as a STEM communicator. He took Brian's mailer and mailed it out to every teacher in Macomb County and a whole crap ton of STEM educators throughout Michigan. So we've got I got a great contact there. If I'll send it to you guys, and I think we need to find his equivalent in other counties because it would be cool. But every teacher in Macomb, that's like wow.
Well, and the various clubs, they cover all. I mean, the metro area plus Washtenaw and probably Monroe counties when you get down to it. So it's southeastern Michigan in general. We probably should have that equivalent list for all of those counties in the area. And frankly, since the McMath Hulbert thing can go up into the Flint area.
One time like the present, let's get an email to Mark right now.
There we go.
And see, I would think that's something that GLAC would probably spearhead a little more with Lowbrows. I think coverage Ann Arbor, Dexter, and Pinckney would be a reasonable, and Ypsilanti would be kind of reasonable to say that's the Lowbrows coverage. Macomb was, and then Ford and GM are,
Oakland and Macomb.
Well, Brighton. Ford apparently is covering Brighton because that's where they observe at Island Lake. So there'd be some sort of cooperation going on between those that are in GLAC and then back to our member clubs as far as communicating. I'd have no problem with someone knowing about the Lowbrows that's in Brighton. That's what Astronomy at the Beach always did, was you saw all the various astronomy clubs when you went up to look in their telescopes. You had a few stragglers that just brought their telescopes. They happened to be bringing 22-inch mirrors, so they got a bunch of lines. But it was also an opportunity to learn about the astronomy clubs that they could be a part of.
Now the Lowbrows have done events at the Brighton District Library. We've done a couple of events there.
True.
Cromaine.
We've done an event at the
Cromaine Library in
Heartland. The Cromaine Library in Heartland. And we have done events up in Holly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have a pretty big reach, just Lowbrows alone. And I know WAS has a pretty huge reach. There's a couple meetings. Cranbrook is pretty much covered by WAS, and then Macomb. Was it the Macomb Library where the meetings used to be physical, Bob? Out there, one of the meetings was Macomb Library, and the other was at Cranbrook.
Macomb Library. We just got an email from them.
Yeah.
It looks like that's not going to be available through next year. So.
Well, all outreach is good, and we certainly, we're not sensitive about stepping on anyone's toes and so forth. I mean,
Let's go ahead and step.
That's do it because it's all good. It's all good.
We're all astronomers.
It's probably a good opportunity for the various clubs to use GLAC as a clearinghouse, and if there is a lowbrow event, maybe there is a Ford or a WAS list or a contact that would be useful, and vice versa. And that's a good clearinghouse, and we have officers from hopefully representative of all the clubs. So
Well, the
have it go
Night
both
Sky
ways.
Network, the Night Sky Network has a calendar. All the member clubs can post their events there, but the general public has no idea of the Night Sky Network. But GLAC, I think, for Southeast Michigan, is better known, and maybe a calendar there that the clubs could post their events to. Now, there's the online meeting, but which is pretty much what's going on now during the pandemic. But
is there a facility like that in that you got up on the site, Bob?
Yeah, I'm actually going to share a screen. Bob worked. That was one of the first things Bob worked on, and I know I just jumped all over him, but I'm gonna let's see if I can share what I've got. Yeah, we're all here. This is you can click on any of these to get more information.
Okay, you go to
So say you go to the Warren Astronomical Society, and this is
apparently
not
I need to
working
fix
the way I
that.
expected.
Go to the top, go to members, member clubs.
I'm gonna have to close it. Okay.
Yeah, go to the very top. GLAC member clubs and societies.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently I need to fix that page.
Here we are. So there's Warren, there's Lowbrow.
Okay.
And a link to meetings there's Ford, Farmington Community Stargazers, Oakland, 7 times. And then there's EMU, Norbert. Norb's got a light pollution presentation on Saturday, I believe. He's one of the first presenters.
Yes.
Then you got Wayne State, the planetarium, General Motors, and recently added McMath Holbert Observatory. This was I was proud to make sure that it didn't make sense that they weren't already a member of GLAC. So I was happy to see this one happen. We did it as quick as we could. Now you're noticing all the COVID-19 notices. This is where normally there would be scheduled meetings and upcoming events. Instead, they're all COVID-19 notices because this is what's going on currently in reality. So you would have information down here normally about where to meet. Now, maybe we talk about it. Upcoming WC, for instance, that page can't be found because they don't have it linked there anymore. But that's where you could go off of the GLAC page to some information. You want to join the GM Astronomy Club. I suppose if I wanted to do it in front of you, I could just do that right now. And here I am at the General Motors Astronomy Club and see this picture of the moon. So would you like to join our mailing list? So this is where you've got a web page linked in from the main one. So there you go. So there, we are kind of a hub. It's just once you find it, you go through it.
Okay. One of the things I did on the Astronomy at the Beach page was I said many of our presenters have expressed a willingness to do online presentations for in-school and in-home classrooms. And I put a link in there, and I've got one bite so far. I'm just hoping we don't get inundated because I don't want to be a scheduling guy for all of our outreach guys for all of the clubs.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. I know you got Ken Burton doing a presentation through that. So, well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn the meeting, and those that hang out watch one more rocket launch from Kerbal Space Program.
Well, there was one
I gotta fire that back up.
Wait, Jim had something.
Yeah, Jim's got one more thing.
Yeah, it concerned me that the Great Lakes Stargaze was going ahead because, you know, I've been to that event a couple of times and it really is a nice event. But, you know, my imagination fails me as to how they're going to keep that safe. And does anybody know?
They aren't. Doug Bach posted pictures, and there's no social distancing and no masks, what I could see, and
Okay,
I'm like,
then that's
"Glad I'm
just
not
totally
there."
it's totally irresponsible, and you know,
I met the organizers of the Great Lakes Stargaze at one point when we were at the University of Michigan. They were all young. And to me, I think the connection is they were all young and felt that, well, we'll take some precautions, but we need to have this Stargaze.
yeah, but
And
Kevin
with
Daly's
the weather,
a grown-up person, and he pretty much is the Great Lakes Stargaze. At least he has been in the past.
yeah, so I don't know. In the past, the Astronomy at the Beach event preceded the Great Lakes Stargaze. This year, it worked out that we came after. Yeah, all I can tell you is some organizers are looking at outdoor events and deciding that it should be safe enough. We're not going to do that. And, you know, those who do go to the Great Lakes Stargaze, and I know a couple other club members planned on being there. Don't know how much social distancing they're doing. Norbert is there. Aunie's there. Those are the only ones that I know of, and you know, I don't know if others are going. But yeah, safety is. Yeah, the risks are. I just think the risks are greater than what people, you know, most folks by now we're just kind of tired of not taking risks. So it's outdoors and it's astronomy. We want to do it. You know, the smoke is cleared. It's a clear night. You know, it's new moon. So
no, I certainly understand the urge, but
it's magical thinking. It's magical thinking instead of looking at the clock.
Correct.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're doing it.
Okay, well,
all right. Thank you, Jim.
Register my disappointment.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Yeah, I'm sure too. So we did have a motion to adjourn, and I think we had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Bob.
we're officially adjourned, but as Adrian suggested, I think Bob is going to do one more rocket launch for us. So if anybody wants to stick around and watch that is welcome.
Okay,
thank you.
Bob, is this KPS version 2?
I wish.
Okay. Also, just out of curiosity, has anyone noticed a weird exodus of astronomy group treasurers?
And I'll share it with you all, when Jeff left, he you know, I talked with him, wished him well. He had concerns about liability. That was mainly the reason he wanted to leave. And that prompted me to look at, you know, well, what can we do to work on that so that we can retain a treasurer. So
Adrian.
Yeah, that's the real Milky Way.
Yeah,
so,
Adrian.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, I will assume the duties of the treasurer, and I'm going to be handling it through a tax accountant, through my tax man. I'll pay him to supervise the books. I'm not going to do that just myself, and I will take that upon myself.
That's probably smart. No, that's completely understood and accepted.
Okay.
You know, just as, you know, your communication to us about things that are going on, you know, it's been fine. You know, at very least, you and I have worked together on it. So.
Yeah, and I will have my accountant keep the books, and I will post the bank statements, keep everything on the level. So enough of that.
That works. Yep. All right. Is there anyone here that didn't see Bob launching rockets before we started the meeting?
I didn't see him.
Yeah.
This is Kerbal Space Program. I've logged over 4,000 hours in this game, and it is a physics simulator that you can build rockets, space planes, satellites, rovers, landers, and you can perform orbital rendezvous and docking and build huge space stations, multi-part space stations. It's got a solar system. It's not our solar system. It's like our solar system, and but it's got a Mars equivalent, a Venus equivalent, and a Mercury equivalent. And Mars equivalent has just enough atmosphere to be annoying that you have to take into account. So I'm going to stage this one here. Get rid of that thing.
I'm thinking the whatever Kerbal or whatever the name of the planet, instead of being Earth, it's
Kerbin.
Kerbin. I think there's technically 2 moons.
There is. There's a moon very much like ours, and then there's an asteroid moon, which if you just jump off of, you can jump about 50 feet in the air, or the vacuum. But it's very easy to land on it and very easy to get off of. So yeah. I am now in a...
But for those that are, and the word is plate solving, Jeff, that's the word that I was looking for. For those that are looking at those stars, especially right now, you may have plate solved Orion, Taurus, and the Pleiades. It looks like they've put a real night sky.
There's Orion.
Yeah. So, and in the Milky Way is a real image of that too. So
yeah, and those guys freaked me out because I hadn't noticed that until they pointed it out.
Yeah, it looks like Aquarius over there. No, it can't be. That's something else.
Okay, so I'm going to do this manually. This is the moon. I'm going to set that as my target.
Bob, if you were really doing it manually, you'd be doing it with a slide rule.
Yeah. I actually did use a slide rule in college once. So let's say I'm going to zoom right about there, add maneuver point there, and stretch it out. So there's my maneuver point. I'm orbiting this way. And when the maneuver point, you thrust behind where you want your high point to go out. So you thrust here, and my high point stretches out like that. And let's see, right? Yes, that's an encounter of the moon. So that's pretty far away. Mun. So hello. Why is that not selecting?
Bob, the scientific calculator wasn't commercially available until 2 years after my undergraduate years. So we actually did in a physics class for non-physics majors who had a math background. We actually had a problem. Like we had to launch a rocket and put a satellite in orbit using slide rules.
Oh, cool.
It was one of the exams.
Well, I remember my dad, he had his old briefcase from college, and he did have a slide rule in it, but he also brought home one day one of the very first TI-30s with the crappy LED displays and everything.
Yep, that's the first
one. When those came out, we thought were so cool.
Yeah.
$175. $175 for something that you can get for $5 now.
Yeah. Wow. Or free.
Yeah, you got the sine function, the cosine function. You were doing trigonometry.
Hey, I am proud
I've forgotten how to do all of that.
I ran out of fuel. All right, so now because it's a simulator, I wasn't able to cheat.
You ran out of fuel.
What kind of a simulator would it be?
You're gonna fuel up in space, huh?
Yeah, he's gonna produce it out of dark matter.
All right, so let's go to
and
here.
And to turn dark matter into fuel.
Just harness dark energy to be all set. There's plenty of it to go around.
There you go.
This is my TI-55.
What do you use dark energy
which still works.
I'm doing a mid-course correction.
Just use the neutrinos.
There you go.
There you go, like that.
Oh, this is a TI-60. Excuse me. There's a TI, my TI-60,
No, there's just
which I got because it understands hexadecimals, and I was a computer science guy, so.
Yeah. That's a vastly more modern version than the first ones.
Yeah. You can see the display sometimes, but
the first one I bought was in 1971 or 72.
Well, this one's got a full, I think it's like 96 steps of programming, so any of the functions you can do, you can step through, and frankly, it saved me in spherical trig.
And so this point right here is the sphere of influence.
That's an 80s version there.
Yes, specifically probably about 82 or 83.
Okay, Bob, where are you now, pal?
I am just entered the sphere of influence of the moon. So now I'm in the gravitational influence of the moon on a flyby trajectory. If I do nothing, I'll whip around here and, well, look at that. That'll take me right out of the system. So that'll be a gravity assist. I don't want a gravity assist. What I want is to slow down at the periapsis. So I go here, and in this time, what I do is I thrust backwards, and the orbit comes back around, elliptical, and when those flip, I'm circular. So
so you don't really have to do any calculations in this, right?
Nope.
Yeah, it's calculating for you how much thrust.
And what I like about it, it's no math involved, and it shows you graphically how the orbits work. It's just freaking incredible.
This is magic. Bob. I'm sorry.
I think it'll make a great presentation in the kids section on the astronomy at the beach, though. It's very interesting.
Was this supposed to be the simulator of our moon or the asteroid moon?
That's the real moon. The asteroid moon is Minmus. That's this guy.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay,
he is
that's
a little asteroid.
Okay, yeah.
Lumpy asteroid. So now I'm in orbit around the moon. Actually, let's go. There we go. Okay, so now, if I want to land on the moon, you can raise the orbit, lower the orbit. So this is when the guys landed on the moon, they were a little closer than I am. But what you do is you find out, you get above where you want to land, and you do a maneuver node, and again, you decelerate, you thrust in the opposite direction you're going, pulls your orbit in until it smacks in to the surface and keeps going. So you're always in orbit around the center of gravity of whatever you're on. So there's execute that. I'll whip back around. You always
It looks like it's gonna go in 90 degrees and smack right into the...
It is. Well, it's gonna cheat. So I'm doing complete cheating. This was not meant as a lander, and I ran out of fuel a long time ago, and I'm cheating there. So now again, I am orbiting. I'm orbiting in this direction, and I'm thrusting in that direction. And what that does is brings your orbit down like that. So now I have no idea if this is going to work or not. Yeah, you're fine. Stop thrusting. All right, because I don't want to do this manually. Landing guidance. I'm going to get to right here. Fall in. Where am I? Did you go in? No, warp there, darn it.
Oh.
All right. Land somewhere. It's around.
That's a cool option.
Hey, John,
this landing thing does what's called a suicide burn. It figures out how much it needs to thrust, and you'll think it's going to crash. Look at it going to crash. Oh, look at that. Woof. Slows down. Now, if I had legs, they'd be extending. and all that. Doink. I said that was not meant to land on the moon. So now,
And then you hit the thruster, so now it's kind of careening out of control. And boom.
You just had to do it.
I just had to do it. But so this is the solar system. This is actually let's go back to the tracking station. This shows you all of the missions that you have in flight, how long they've been in flight. Well, that's a Kerbal. It kind of looks like a cross between a minion and Frankenstein's monster. Not really sure why. I think I know why they did that, because when you kill them, you won't feel like you've killed a human. Kill the cartoon guys, because you will kill these guys. So there's the main planet. It kind of looks like Earth, kind of doesn't. It's got the 2 moons, and you go out, and there's the Venus equivalent, and it too has a moon. It has a little asteroid moon, but this thing looks very much like Venus when you have the clouds turned on. Why aren't the clouds on? But so that, and it's got a very tiny little asteroid moon. Mercury, Moho, it's very much like Mercury, and man, getting your ship to this thing is tough because of all the delta V you gotta burn. And the Mars equivalent has a moon, a big moon that's tidally locked, which is kind of cool. Oh, look at that, I got a program.
Cool.
So this is Ike, Duna and Ike, and it's got giant ice caps, and it's at just enough atmosphere to be annoying, just like Mars. And Ike, tightly locked, so you can land on the planet and let have Mars sit on the horizon the entire time. And because you got to have a gas giant, the next one out's a gas giant, and that is Joule. And he's got a whole series of moons, including, let's see, Leahy, which is a habitable Earth-like moon. So, talk about science fiction, huh?
With Ewoks?
Yeah. Now, if that was Jupiter, that would be right in the radiation belt, and there'd be nothing living on that sucker at all. But
does that come with Ewoks?
Burn in the radiation, you guys.
No,
but yeah,
I don't think it does.
This has got, no, there's no life on it. It'd be cool. But yeah, so you've got different, this one has a different plane, so you got to do plane changes. And one of the interesting things I found out, and I remember how when I came into the sphere of influence of the moon, I was on a hyperbolic trajectory like that, or a parabolic trajectory. Yeah. That is what you do when you come into the sphere of influence of anything. And when Juno was going to Jupiter, I was playing this game, and I got into the sphere of influence of Joule here about a month out, which was just about how far Juno did, and that kind of surprised me. And you know, the planet looked like that. I mean, you could barely see it. You're in the sphere of influence. You can't even see the thing. And but so you're on this hyperbolic trajectory, and if you don't slow down, you're just going to go back out in the solar system, right? Any of you guys seen the movie 2010?
Yes.
What's the first thing they do? They come in, they drop a probe onto the moon, and then they do the aero braking. Okay, so when they're dropping the probe onto the moon, they're still at interplanetary speeds, and that probe is going to go right by that moon. Then they do the aero braking. Well, the aero braking is what brings your orbit down and slows you down. So they mix the order of that up. Nobody but me.
But they did the aero braking at Jupiter, not at Europa.
Yeah, and that slowed them down enough to get them in the system, and that's when you send a probe, because the first probe they sent down is still going at interplanetary speeds. It hasn't done the aero braking yet. So I'm just like, guys, it's going too fast.
Well, didn't they launch the probe after the aero braking?
Pardon me? I'm sorry?
I was thinking they launched the probe after the aero braking.
Yep. They came in, they went by Europa, they dropped it, and then they did the aero braking.
Oh, you're right. That's right.
And after I started playing Kerbal, I saw that movie again, and I'm like, wait,
Wrong.
that's not right. But yeah, so this is the space plane hammer. You can build with some mods. You can build actual single staged orbit space planes that re-enter. Landing anything on that plane, shuttle, anything, I'm terrible. I just crash them to hell. I can give me a parachute. I cannot land planes to save my life. The full version, this is I'm in right now sandbox mode, and you get all of the parts, and it can be daunting to see all of these. I mean, these are just command modules. You sort by size. You got little tiny probes to single man, to double man, shuttle that's a 6-man, and then there's your fuel tanks, small to enormous, and command and control. Those are reaction wheels. They added robotics just recently. You can make helicopters and stuff. Somebody made a video. They did the entire Mars 2020 rover with the helicopter using KSP with not a single mod. I'm just astounded. So that's how you break your rocket apart. Those are couplers, and those come in many different sizes, and those just break your stages apart. It's got wings and planes. You can make planes, jets, all sorts of stuff like that. Landing gear, from little tiny things to huge wheeled things to what the hell are those? I don't even know what those are.
Leg, whatever.
Yeah. Heat shields. I wish they did something more. There's no real reason to put any radiators on your space station or stuff like that, but when you do and you turn them on, they get red hot. It would be nice if you absolutely needed those. You do need the heat shield. If you're re-entering from more than 500 kilometers, you will burn up if you don't have a heat shield. It's got tons of different electrical. It's got these expanding solar panels, little guys to gigantic ones for your space station. Tons of different batteries. I don't have a whole lot of mods installed right now that add parts, but my God, they've got tons of different stuff. You recognize this? The radioisotope thermoelectric generator. The very bottom part, not to be used for providing heating during emergency rover excursions. So there's communications, a bunch of different antennae, science. These are all different science you can do, and it's got just a ton of different things.
Experiment. Sweet.
Oh, tons.
Experiments in there
some of these guys. This signal intelligence that will fill the entire bay here. It's just huge. And then you've got
anything for budgeting and graft and political contributions, and
there's a cost.
They stripped a lot of that out. They decided they wanted the game to be fun, not frustrating.
Yeah, they got a much better system than we do, Jim.
Even though, I guess ESA, and you saw the European Space Agency thing, that surprised me when I saw the European Space Agency.
Oh yeah, let me show you that.
Backs it.
Don't save. Yeah, what they did, they partnered with NASA in 2015 when they came out. They just recently partnered with the European Space Agency, and they added some missions into the main menu here. Let's see, play missions. Where are they? ESA. They have the Bepi Colombo going to Mercury, and there's 2 different versions of that. They've got one where you've got to launch it, do the gravity assist flybys of Eve, Venus, and get to Mercury. And they've got another flavor where you're on approach and you have to drop the Japanese sub-probe, get that into orbit, and then get the main bus into orbit. So they also have the Rosetta, which completely models the Rosetta mission, and they've added comets into the game with this one. Comet 67P is in, and it looks exactly like it should. But
Do
comets
they-
have tails now, and it's very cool. It's a very cool update.
Do they have the lander in Rosetta?
Yes.
I was
Yes,
I was
you do.
actually funded on
So
that
you
mission
get
for a
the
while.
You get the opportunity to get it right with the mission.
Not bounce
so
it.
you and not bounce it like
Well,
like reality did.
They designed that in a very last minute afterthought. I was on the Rosetta mission actually for a while and funded on there and doing some of their web pages and stuff. So I got into
Really?
some very fun meetings here at U of M.
This is.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is one of the things they did with NASA. This was when they collaborated with them. They did the asteroid redirect mission, which subsequently got canceled, but it got canceled after it was in the game and published. So, but
after that movie.
The mission is to go snag an asteroid and bring it back either into orbit around the planet or around the moon, and so it's there in the game, and you've got to do a whole you got to rendezvous. You got to leave the system, rendezvous in a heliocentric orbit, and then pull it back. And so yeah, it's a pretty cool mission. But
this doesn't allow you to fly to a different star system, does it?
No, that's going to be KSP.
KSP.
KSP2 is going to have interstellar travel and colonies.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, KSP2 looks like it's going to be pretty darn awesome. They've got all of the old interstellar propulsion technologies from science fiction and science from the early 60s. They're all in the game. Like the Orion, the nuclear pulse propulsion, bam, bam, bam. That's an engine in the game.
So you can go interstellar like the movie.
You can do that here. There's a mod for that Orion module. Or the Orion engine.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't notice was a ringed planet in Kerbal, which that would be the only.
KSP2 definitely their video of it. They show a ringed planet and they show a binary planet that's orbiting so close the two ends near each other are volcanic. So they got some interesting planetary systems planned.
Well, this part of Kerbin looks like an impact crater.
It is. It's called Blood Crater.
Yeah, that's the. So they wiped out their dinosaurs there too. This is I like the realism in the games, especially with them adding a real star field to it and real images of the Milky Way. That I forget seeing. I think I watched some YouTube videos of older versions of the game, and I don't know if the stars even mattered. But no, it's pretty good. Yeah, that's
show you one more thing before I go here. I'm going to use the cheat menu here. Let's just get a pre-built capsule. Open. Let's get the Kerbal X. There we go. Load. Launch.
So this is SpaceX Dragon?
No. Although there are parts to build actual ones, and one of the cool things that I have not played with, there's a mod called Kerbal Operating System, KOS. It lets you script everything, and you can do SpaceX landings that way. It's cool. Very cool. So I'm gonna H.
Jebediah, Bill, and Bob Kerman.
This is a mod. It's letting me cheat right now. So 150 apply. Bam! Hey, look at that! I'm in orbit. What would I be? Well, what good is a simulator if you can't simulate? So let's say I would decouple.
Get the heavy curvites.
so I ditched that. All right, so I want to re-enter, and I want to re-enter in that part, so I want to, that's pretty good. Just do it right there. Okay, so I'm in orbit at 150 kilometers right now, and what I want to do is I want to re-enter. So what you got to do is turn your stability assist on, retrograde, you want to turn in the way you're orbiting, and I don't want to hit that, so I'm just going to let it go away for a little while. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to get my periapsis, my low point of my orbit, to about 20 kilometers. That'll be in the atmosphere, so. All right, so you saw that thing change. It just changed my perspective to tell you that you're now suborbital. So now my trajectory, but the low point of my orbit is in the atmosphere, and that means I am falling. So I don't need this part anymore. So let's get rid of the service module. And I always flip it off to the side because when I've ejected it just like this, I've hit it on re-entry. So now I'm going to time accelerate because it's going to take me about 20 minutes to get to the
Sounds like a real
planet.
first world issue.
Eject your service module and smack right into it. All right, so I've hit 70 kilometers. The time acceleration stopped. So what's going to happen now is you're going to start seeing the heat shield heat up. So let's more time acceleration. Now notice I'm dropping like a rock here. The heat shield's starting to get red. Pretty soon you're going to start seeing plasma. No, let's slow down. There's the inside of the cockpit. There are mods where you can fly the entire mission in the cockpit. Okay, so there's plasma.
Yeah, they're happy the whole way. There's no concern.
Got this huge plasma trail. And now let's go back in. Oh, wait. There we go. That's a mod to do the silence and stuff. Well, you see IVA, a lot of things in there working in there. There are mods which make everything on the panels work here. Where's my other part? I ejected that other part. Should be there it is. It's burning up there.
Something else coming in?
Yeah, that's the service module I ejected.
Oh, okay. Okay. Looks like it
burned up. Looks like I'm going to do a Russian land landing here. I hope that one parachute's going to be enough. And I've slowed down to about 1,200 meters per second. That's when the plasma trail goes away. So I can speed this up because I'm going to drop like a rock for a long time. The parachute. There we go. Look at that. It didn't automatically go, so I would have crashed had I not done that. We've got time acceleration on here. Because falling on a parachute is...
They're about to land on solid ground, aren't they?
Yep, just like the Russians. So I'm hoping that parachute will take me down to, 9 meters. That's going to be hard. I usually want it to be about 6. Probably going to lose the heat shield. Accelerate again.
It's hard.
It is going to hit hard. 9 meters per second is going to be an ow. I would have put 2 parachutes on this thing. Slow down and yep, lost the heat shield. So that's the end of the mission. At this point, you can go up here and recover the vessel, and that is how you end missions. But there is a career mode where you get money and for doing missions and stuff like that, and you earn science and you research science to get better science parts and better rocket parts, etc., etc., etc. Do all of that at this building, which is not open right now. Yeah, the career mode, you start off, everything's, level 0, and you build up till this is everything up till this max level. But yeah, this is science mode, so everything's maxed out. You get all the parts, you can just do everything. But the career mode, you start, you can't even
very
fly.
little.
You can't even fly. You just have to go around, collect science, and then research science and get parts and launch them, like sounding rockets and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really cool that the whole place is 3D.
Yeah.
But there's just absolutely.
Yeah, I think some are going to be interested in the actual science. I have a feeling some of the kids are just going to want to see some rockets blow up. So I'm not sure how it's going to work.
The interesting thing I found out about this, aside from rockets blowing up, which is fun, is, it teaches you how the rockets work and how the satellites orbit and how they collect science. And just seeing your orbits change when you thrust is just like a wow. Because there's just nothing out there like that does this. So that's why I like it.
Yeah. Of course, without having to do all of the math to calculate how that works. So it's
my goodness.
A little more fun.
Just seeing the orbit change, the amount of math going on is crazy.
What would be interesting is, I guess if they did it in astrophysics mode, if they spit the calculations out for you so you could look at it and realize just how
you
tough
got
it
that.
is.
There are several different mods that you can put any number of information, flight telemetry up.
Okay, so then you can, if you want, you can see the actual equations going into it.
Dynamic pressure and all that stuff. Yep.
Nice. Yeah,
it also has this, which I keep forgetting to tell people out. This is alarm clock. Yeah, there. This is their Wikipedia, and this thing tells you how rockets work. This is just amazing. It tells you all the different parts, forces on the parts. I mean, you want a really simple explanation of how rocketry and physics of flight works. This is it. All the different parts. This is online too.
Okay, so there's a lot of. It looks like it's explained pretty.
The learning curve. This game playing this game, if you got it, it would really help to have someone like me show you how it goes, and then you're going to go, rather than spend weeks crashing and burning, because it's the learning curve. The learning curve on this is like this.
Is a straight line. Of course, the way they make it, it almost seems like the crashing and burning is part of the fun.
It is.
Until you get good at it.
It absolutely is.
Then you start chasing real missions. So, all right. Well, I've got to eat a late night snack. I've got one day of sort of rest before I got work and other stuff to worry about, like AHTV. Yeah, excellent demonstration, Bob. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
And I see we lost Charlie, Jim's hanging around, Ken, Jeff.
I'm just screwing around here.
Yeah, Jeff's gonna go download KSB and build some of his own rockets.
It's been fun.
I remember watching some videos of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you for sharing.
I play no games, but this interests me.
Well, there's actually something you should go take a look. Let me go find the link for it on my Astronomy at the Beach, KSP event. I have a video that it's a recreation of the Apollo 8 flight using actual Apollo footage and Kerbal Space Program synced with command module audio. And so you get to see, using Kerbal Space Program, all the maneuvers they did when they're behind the moon and things that they're doing. It's just absolutely amazing.
All done with a slide rule.
Yeah.
Where is the Kerbal? Where's the Kerbal?
I just got a URL to your
so they
page,
did it
Bob.
they did it with the slide rule.
Okay,
And,
so if you go into that link there, I have a video. On the bottom, March 2020. Yeah, the Apollo 8 Kerbal 8 Space Program Walter Cronkite footage. It just fantastic.
Oh.
And this uses a crap ton of mods. They're using something called FASA, which has all the NASA parts absolutely faithfully recreated, and it's using
So that's where
real
the Saturn V is.
It's using real solar systems, so you've got the actual Earth and actual size of the Earth there, so it takes a long time to get into orbit.
Yeah.
So awesome video.
So,
Cool.
find a galaxy for you.
All right. Well, I am dropping out, but I'll see all of you gentlemen
On
soon.
Monday.
We've got a week, and yeah, I sending
See you
my
Monday.
regards to what
Hey,
I
John.
wasn't. Yeah, I'll see you Monday. I'll see all the black folks Monday.
All right, see you guys later. Take care.
Alrighty.
See you, Don.
Good night,
See you,
everybody.
Don.
Bye.
Good night.
Hey, John, can
Yes.
we hang around? I was just wondering if we might arrange something perhaps on Sunday to get the rest of those Zoom meetings squared away.
Okay, all I have to do is format the meetings, right, Jeff?
Yeah, just create the meetings inside the Zoom thing on your account. And there's
Okay.
only 3 of them, so
Okay, if I do that tomorrow, then that
That would-
obviates the need.
yeah, that would be terrific.
Okay, if I have any problems, I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah.
But I will get on that and get that done.
Okay.
For all of us.
I was only concerned because Don Swetzig, one of our lowbrows, is one of those on your license.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
man, Don's been practicing with Zoom and making sure he's got his stuff ready. So it's like, yeah, let's make sure that Don is in good shape.
Yes,
So-
yes, I will.
Okay.
Will be certain of that, and check me out on that, Jeff.
Sure.
But that's an obligation that I have for tomorrow.
Okay. I just wanted to touch base with you today while we have you on the line. That's all.
That is, I appreciate your bringing that up and making a point of that.
Okay.
I am never reluctant, at all to be followed up on and checked out. That's part of being a volunteer. So
Well,
okay.
well, I
Okay,
appreciate
we'll-
your I appreciate your words of well wishes and everything, and your support on in the meeting here today too. So, you
Well,
got everybody
that's
on everybody on the board has been fantastic this year. I couldn't really ask for anything better than what we got.
Tell you what, I am really. I would say I'm almost amazed at it. This thing has come together almost magically. Of course, not without a great deal of effort. So, okay, I'll get
Okay.
that done and check up on me. And if you have any questions, get in touch.
Yep, and we'll talk with you on Monday.
Certainly. Bye-bye now.
Okay, have a good weekend.
You too now.
Yep. Okay. Am I sure? And